listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes and Master Coach Jenny Fontana, founders of the Life Coach Method. Each one of our uplifting and deep dive episodes is geared to help you tackle the things that hold you back from having the most magnificent life you deserve. Sit back, relax, and prepare to be coached.
Hey guys, Dr. Callie Estes with Unpause Your Life. I am excited for today. My guest is Chris Holt, and I'm going to let him tell you all about his journey, where he is now and what he does, and overcoming life. Welcome, Chris.
Well, thanks for having me. My name is Chris Holt. I've been a coach for nutrition and fitness for over 18 years now. I originally went to school for architecture, went to the University of Miami, go Canes. And I graduated in 2006, and I've wanted to be an architect since I was in sixth grade. So it was this dream of mine. And then when I became one, it sucked. And then 2008 hit, building stopped, the economy crashed. And I had a choice to either go to another office within my company, which I just thought, all right, last one in, first one out type of situation. But more importantly, architects make no money. So I decided to leave.
What? Architects don't make money? That's like hard work. I've seen like all the blueprints and all the
amount of education and schooling and licensing and all the tests you have to take. It's on the same. Like I have a father that's an engineer. I have a brother that's a physician. I have a sister that's an attorney. The compensation for those three professions and architects, it's my starting salary in 2006 out of a 5-year professional degree was $32,000. That was my starting salary.
Hey, welcome to therapy.
But what you don't realize is when you build something, clients want everything value engineered. So they're like, hey, you're not going to build it for this price. I'll find someone else to do it for cheaper. But you don't go into your surgeon's office or your attorney's office or, and they say, well, I'm not paying that. It's like, well, that's what it is. So, but I left that profession in 2008. I opened, at the time, it was the second CrossFit affiliate in Miami. I had been doing CrossFit since 2005 on my own, during a time where no one knew what it was. So I opened that in 2008, owned and operated that for 10 years, and then sold my part of the business because I just wanted to get out of Miami, and then moved out to Utah with my now ex-wife, which was another story, and managed some CrossFit gyms. Things were kind of going well. I started doing more online coaching, and then 2021, I got divorced, and then I had a job opportunity with the, I guess you can call him infamous, man named Liver King. If you don't know who he is, Google him. You'll look him up on Instagram. Most people probably have seen him. Anyway, kind of joined that organization for a year. Was not a good fit. Then I left that in 2022, relaunched my online business for coaching, and then kind of have been doing that ever since.
So you skipped over all the interesting things. So tell me, you're a triplet. So first of all, that's like rare. Tell me about that.
Okay, so so I am an identical triplet. Actually, we didn't find out we were identical until we were in our 30s because we didn't know. And so my parents, they didn't do any type of testing for that. And then one of my sister-in-laws, who now is an ex-sister-in-law, for a birthday gift one year, she gave us a zygosity test. So we took the cheek swab, came back, and it says you're monozygotic, which is for triplets in the 80s. It's like 1 in 200 million, I think, is the statistic. So it's like, oh, dang, now I can't win the lottery. But so we were adopted from Korea. My dad is from Pennsylvania. My mom's from New York.
Wait a minute.
And so,
where's from in PA?
Reading.
I'm from Pottstown.
Oh, that's
Holy
crazy.
shit. That's like
So
20 minutes away.
Yeah, I had a cousin that lived in Robosonia for a while. But yeah, my dad went to Penn State.
That's where I went.
Yeah, Nittany Lions. I've been to that creamery, which is like, but I went back in like the 80s. I mean, I was young.
Yeah.
I just remember at the time, I'm like, what am I eating? This is insane.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so much fat they can't put it on the market.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. So we were adopted. My dad worked for ExxonMobil. So when we were adopted, we flew to JFK. We were in New Jersey for a little bit, and then my dad started taking overseas assignments. So we lived in Sicily. which I don't remember anything of Sicily, but I have so many baby videos. And this is when you had to have a camera with the VHS tape. Oh no, VHS tape was hooked to your hip. So it was two separate things videotaping.
Yes.
It was like a whole production. So then we moved to Singapore. So from kindergarten to fifth grade, we lived in Singapore. Sixth grade, middle of seventh, we were in London. Middle of seventh, 10th grade, we were in Norway. And then our last 2 years of high school, we were in Texas, where my parents currently live. So yeah, moved around a lot. And then, yeah, I mean, with regards to like a lot of my, I guess you could say struggles, I had my first of 4 lung surgeries when I was 16. I was born with these, it doesn't sound super medical, but they call them blebs. They're just blisters on my lungs. And so if there's too much pressure in my chest cavity, they rupture, my lung collapses. So my first lung collapse, I was 16, I was living in Norway. It was pretty traumatic at the time for me because in Norway, for a chest tube, they don't give you anesthesia, which I'm like, what? To this day, I'm like, they give you Novocaine for the incision, but that's it. So you're awake the entire time where they're shoving this chest tube through your pleural space. It was 30 minutes. It was the longest 30 minutes of my life. And then lung reinflated. And then when they pulled the chest tube out, in the States, they suture things. In Norway, they take this goo and they just patch the hole. And it's a burn that you've never really experienced because it goes all the way up into your chest cavity. But anyway, so that was a really terrible experience. Lung collapsed again. Then I had something called a pleurodescent thoracotomy done. So they go in, they cut out these blisters, suture them. Then they rough up my lung wall and my chest wall. So then it sticks, doesn't collapse again. Well, they throw in like a talc-like powder and then it sticks, adheres my lung wall to my chest wall. So I had that done on my right side. Left lung collapsed a couple years later. Because of my history, they just went and did the procedure. Was done incorrectly by, I'll never forget his name, Dr. Kaplan in New Jersey. So I had a 50% collapse. So then I was in Texas at the time. And then the surgeon in Texas said, hey, we have 2 options. We can go through your sternum or we can go through your back. I'm like, if you go through my sternum, do you have to break my sternum? He's like, yes. I'm like, nope. He says, yeah, but Chris, I'm just going to let you know going through the back the recovery is twice as long. I'm like, why? He says, because going through your sternum, easy access, we can open you up. Through your back, I have to stick my hand into your chest cavity and pull your lung off the walls that it's connected to and redo the procedure. So we're moving all your intercostal muscles on your ribs and your side, your left side of your body. I'm like, no breaking ribs, go through the back. And so it was like a 8-month recovery and then was out of the woods. I had partial collapse over the years, but nothing serious. And then I think it was my sophomore year of college. I fell asleep driving. Me and my brothers were in the car and I just rolled my car down a hill. Fortunately, they were fine, but every time the car landed, because I think I was asleep the whole time, which the doctor said, actually, that was good for you because if you were tense, that's when people really injure themselves because they brace. But you were just kind of flopping around and is actually better for you in a car crash like that. But Justin said the car rolled 3 times side to side and 2 times front to back. So every time that it landed, though, it landed on my side. So when I woke up, it was so weird because I just remember falling asleep. And we had gone to this midnight bowling thing we were camp counselors for summer at the YMCA. And it was midnight bowling. It was super late. And I'll never forget this Sarah McLachlan song that was playing on the radio. And it just totally put me to sleep. And I just remember we hit this guardrail that we basically used as a ramp. And I hear Justin say, oh shit. And then I don't remember anything. I wake up, I can't move. So then I think I'm paralyzed. All I can see, I'm just kind of like sitting in the seat and I see Justin outside my window. And I'm like, what is happening? And then he's very concerned. I don't know why he's concerned. I just think that I can't move. And then he's just saying, oh shit. Jeremy is there. And I'm like, why is everyone out of the car? Where am I? Oh my God, I'm paralyzed. And then they called the ambulance. And what had happened was the roof of the car was pinning me to my seat. So I couldn't move. And what I thought was sweat, because it's Texas, it's in the summer, I had a piece of windshield in my head. There's just a lot of blood. And so they cut the roof off the car. I had 32 staples in my head. And then that was like a long recovery because of the head trauma. I would get vertigo if I lie down. So I had to sleep sitting up for like 6 months. And so during all these moments, going in and out of hospitals, it just, like, I think I always had depression, anxiety as a kid, but it just reinforced those things. So for me, it was always glass half empty. What's the point of getting excited about anything if I'm just going to end up back in the hospital? Just accept the worst and just never get your hopes up. And so it just was a dark time. I played the victim card. Why is this happening to me? I'd ask all the questions. I had no answers. And then, yeah, I lived in that world for a long time where it was a lot of blame game. And in college, I used food, I used alcohol to kind of cope with those things. And then, fast forward, I had open heart surgery 3 years ago, but that different mindset, different headspace. But, I think anyone that struggles with mental illness, I think it's just a fact. Unfortunately, it's not going away. So coming to terms that I have to coexist with this. And that's when I was like, okay, I really need to hyper focus on how I'm feeling in my body. I'm prioritizing things like sleep, movement, getting outside, bonding with loved ones, just doing all the things that I can that are within my control that are holistic. Because I think in college, it was after my car accident, I just didn't go to class. I was just like, nope. And my parents made me go see a psychiatrist. I'll never forget this. She never asked me one question about myself. She just explained to me based on neural synapses on how depression works. And then she wrote me a script. And I'm like, I don't want to be taking medication forever. So I ripped it up when I left the office and I was like, look, I need to see what I can do holistically. And then if that's plan Z, make it plan Z. But I truly believe there's got to be things that I can do every day that are going to help me. And there are, and we all know that. So, but it's obviously the things that are not sexy. It's boring at most times. It's things that no one wants to do. But I think that's the difference between me and everyone else that isn't where they want to be, is that I choose to do challenging things every day. And it's about consistency.
So first, oh my God, kudos to you, because most people would have given up and been alcoholics, food addicts, screw it, fuck it, this is not going to change. You literally took your pain and made purpose. And now you're helping people, which is amazing.
I mean, I lived in that world where I projected my issues. And I think when you take the victim card, or you play the victim card, you shirk ownership and responsibility. Because obviously there are so many things that we can't control, but at that point, it's like, if you're just going to do the blame game, then you don't move forward. So then I'm like, okay, well, the moment I really truly believe that things happen for me, not to me, I was like, okay, well, no matter how shitty it is, I view those moments as there's like this rare resource. It's like jet fuel that no one knows about. And if you can just take it and use it, then, that's everything. Right. And I'm a big nerd. I'm a geek. Like I love superheroes, and I like the idea of heroes and villains, because heroes and villains have the same backstory. They come from tragedy, trauma, and all those things. The difference is that the villain says, the world hurt me, I'm going to hurt everyone else. And the hero says, the world hurt me, I'm not going to let it hurt anyone else. So it's like, you can come from the same place, right? I think anyone that struggles with trauma or has experienced traumatic things, we have to process it. We have to learn how to work through it, feel it, observe it, but not let it take you away with the tide. But it's easier, I think, to just give in to the villain, right? Is just say, you know what, I'm just gonna blame everyone, and I'm just gonna project all my issues onto others. And I think it's more challenging to be the hero. And I'd like to believe that we can all be heroes in our own story, but it's a choice, and it's not an easy path, right? Because you're going to be doing things that are going to be challenging every day. But for me, I view what I do every day as standards for which I set for myself. So just like flossing, brushing my teeth, and bathing myself every day, like I prioritize sleep, real whole foods, movement, walks, sunlight, making time for others, regardless how I feel about it. I never want to work out. When I'm anxious, I don't eat. When I'm depressed, I don't want to talk to anyone. But when I'm depressed, I made it a standard, I call a friend. When I'm anxious, I don't want to eat, I force myself to eat. Every time I say I don't want to work out, I'm like, shit, now I have to. So these are just standards of which I just set. And I think that is, I think what most people struggle with is the self-regulating. They don't know how to self-regulate. And it's easy to use food, drugs, alcohol to cope with these things because it just numbs you. And I get it. I am the master at disassociating, right? And I still do it, but I try to hyper focus on what I have control over.
So that was a pretty cool tidbit or golden nugget, as I call them, for the listeners. Every time you feel depressed, you call a friend. So you have a safety plan in your head that when I feel X, I do Y. Non-negotiable, that's what we do because we know it works.
Yes.
That's what a lot of people don't do. They go, I feel depressed. Oh, I should call a friend. Oh, look, there's the dishes. Oh, no, I don't want to do them. Oh, look, they get distracted. They push it out of their head. And next thing you know, they're eating potato chips and binge watching some Netflix show.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think and look, I used to be that person too, right? But, a lot of my clients ask me, does it get easier? Right. And I'm like, no, no. Just like people say, well, oh, well, you're super fit. You got like abs and you're in your mid 40s. It must get easier. I'm like, life only gets harder, and so I think a lot of people struggle with viewing failure and fear. To them, it's a negative thing. To me, it's a positive thing, right? Lean into fear. Chase things that scare the shit out of you because that's where growth happens. Failure is the best educator, right? One of my best friends is a former Navy SEAL. They're trained to run towards the firefight, right? Most people run away from it, but you grow through adversity. You grow through doing the things that people are scared of. And look, along the journey, no one wants to experience the emotions, right? Because it's a roller coaster. But you know what? That is what separates me from everyone else. And when it comes to things like health, wellness, nutrition, all those things, I truly believe in my head that I am better than other people because I choose things that people don't want to choose, right? And, people might say, oh man, you're super strict. I'm like, well, yeah, because you eat like shit, you look like shit, you feel like shit, and you complain about it, but you're not willing to do anything about it. So of course, what I do looks strict to you, but that's just a Wednesday for me, right? So it's perspective. And I think a lot of people just struggle with that, which is understandable, but change is possible.
It's interesting you said that. So I don't do sugar and I haven't since I was 23. And a lot of people are like, well, what do you do instead? And I'm like, well, you make substitutions. So instead of having Ben and Jerry's at night, I'll have a protein shake and then I'll put some Cool Whip on the top of it. So it looks like ice cream. It tastes kind of like ice cream, but my version of ice cream now than when I was 23 is completely different.
Yeah.
And if you kick sugar out of your diet and you eat a banana, the banana is sweet. When you're eating ding dongs, ho hos, and M&Ms, the banana to you isn't sweet at all. So it's that shift.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that these hyper palatable processed foods are designed to be that, right? They're hyper palatable. But I think anyone that I've gotten to just cut out soda, cut out candy, whatever it is, just super, super sugary things, it's always the same thing, right? They have a Diet Coke, they can't finish the can. It's like, oh, that's just so sweet. Or I have a lot of clients that say, I'm a little freaked out. I'm eating vegetables and they're kind of sweet. I'm like, yeah, some vegetables do have a sweetness to them. And other people are like, I hate asparagus, but now I like it. It tastes different. I'm like, yes, tastes can change, but if you're consuming something every single day, you're obviously not going to notice the difference, right? Mm-hmm. So, but it's just helping people understand that first off, sugar is not the issue. I am never going to demonize sugar. I'm not going to demonize a donut or pizza or whatever. The issue is people use those foods to cope with certain things. So that is the issue is, look, if you want to treat yourself and you are where you want to be, you've maintained standards for yourself. Yeah, treat yourself for sure. Right. But if you're using that to cope with an argument you got into or something someone said to you or the promotion you didn't get or someone slighted you or whatever it is, then you're giving power to things you have no control over. I mean, look, I lived in Texas. Racism is rampant, right? So, and that was the first time in my life when I moved to Texas that I experienced racism, like aggressive in my face, people shouting things at me, racial slurs, people getting in my face, people spitting at me. At first it upset me and I I didn't know how to handle it, and I just stewed on it, and I just got so angry, and then I realized, look, I can't control what people say or do. But if I'm going to allow that person to affect how I take care of myself, then that person effectively controls me. And I'm like, fuck that person, right? So it's just understanding that, there's a great book, Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, right? It's difficult to practice being present. And it's so funny because I used to train his stepdaughter. And the irony is that she was the least present person ever. And I'm like, you're traveling with Eckhart. You're around this man 24/7. She's like, Chris, it's not realistic. We were at a CrossFit gym at a competition, loud music, dropping bumper plates, all this stuff. And he's just looking at me, Aaron, look at the clouds outside. They're so still. And I was like, that's amazing. But yes, he's an anomaly, but it's the principle, right? Is just understanding that our ego is going to want to chase things that are fire starters, that are going to create that drama in our life. Mm-hmm. When we just need to take a second and just say, look, life is so fleeting. Time is finite. It's a resource we don't get back. And everyone I talk to, that I jump on these consultation calls, they have this sense that they have time. And I'm like, every second that you choose something that's going to stop you from making a step forward, you don't get back, And there's that famous line in Princess Bride where the six-fingered man says to Prince Humperdinck, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything at all. And it's true, because you could have a $200 million yacht, but, if you got diabetes or you got whatever issue, high blood pressure, heart disease, it doesn't matter how much money you got. And I'm all for making money. I'm all for, really shooting for your dreams and hustling. But the biggest flex is not a car. It's not a boat. It's your body. When I walk into rooms, I know people look at me. I know people recognize it, right? And I do the same thing when I see someone that's fit. I'm like, yeah, I see the dedication. I see the consistency, because that shit isn't easy, right? So to me, that's the biggest flex. When you have like a vein in your bicep, it's like, that's the biggest flex. I don't care about your freaking watch, right? So, I think as I get older, these are the things that are more important to me.
Funny you said that. So I have a group of women friends, and they're all different. And for me, I'm probably the fittest, healthiest of the group, because I'm in the gym, I'm strict with my food. Like, we go out and they're drinking and eating dessert, and I'm more like, no, have a cup of tea or have an Americano, and they just don't get it. But the interesting part is we're all at an age now, because we're all over 50, where everybody's doing Botox and implants and the lashes and the extensions. And I just show up, and the only thing I've had done is my teeth. And they're like, you're kidding. I'm like, no. This is healthy eating. This is in the gym, positive mindset. And they don't understand that can be possible without all this other crap that's available.
Well, people want fast. They want easy. They want yesterday, right? And, I think and this is another topic all of itself with the GLP-1s, but, I think people tell me all the things that they want. I want my jeans to fit this way. I want to look great at this reunion I have coming up. I want whatever it is. But then when I discuss what it takes to get there, they are not interested in the process. And then I very honestly and candidly says, okay, well, that's fine. Then you need to stop lying to yourself. You're telling yourself a story that you want these things, but if you're not willing to do the things to get you there, then you really actually don't want those things, right? And you don't know how many times I've said this to people on calls, and it's like knee-jerk, defensive, angry. How dare you say that? And I'm like, look, I'm calling a spade, right? So you need to have a more honest conversation with yourself. That's all, because people talk a big game, but look, getting to where I am physically with all my obstacles that I've had in front of me, it's easy for me to have quit multiple times and just said, oh, this is just the way it is, but I think Tony Robbins said this recently, but the difference between living the life of your dreams and settling for what you have, it's not sexy. It's not rocket science. It's just doing challenging things every single day. That's it. It's not complex. but the problem is no one wants to do the challenging things because they, like I said, they spark emotions, feelings. They have you assess things, kind of do some self-reflection, which some people don't want to look at themselves in a mirror and see, all right, I can see maybe why I do this. And I can see, that trigger. And I can see, well, that's going to bring up emotions about this thing. But it's like, hey, look, that's only hardening your mind, creating a callus on your emotional state, your physical state, and that's what I'm all about. Do you think I want to get in a 40-degree water every morning? No. Does it get easier? No, it's still really cold, right? But I sit there and I think, one of my favorite movies, Fight Club. You can see these Fight Club bars or something. What I love about the movie, even though what's comical to me is that it's super popular within alpha male gym bros, right? But what they fail to recognize is that, first off, Chuck Palahniuk, the author of the book, he's gay. And secondly, it is a huge commentary on how fragile the male ego is. But what I like about the movie is that, okay, you don't have to get in fights, but physical pain is an educator. It teaches you something, right? And that's what I learned through my lung surgeries and my heart surgery, my car accident. When you are, like after my heart surgery, out of surgery, I had kidney failure and I had a collapsed lung. I told them I had a collapsed lung because I know what it felt like. And they said, no. We did x-rays. You don't have a collapsed lung. I'm like, I have a collapsed lung. So for 3 days, I sat in the hospital, recovering from open heart surgery with a collapsed lung. Finally, on day 4, so we did another x-ray and you have a collapsed lung.
Oh my God.
I'm like, yeah. And you've just been giving me Tylenol. Can I please have morphine? And that's the only time they gave me morphine. So, but during those moments where all you can, it's, you cannot think about anything else. It's just get to the next second. Okay, now I'm at get to the next second, get the next second. When you do that for days on end, you can kind of go crazy, but it's just survival mode. And I think Fight Club kind of shows like, yes, by putting yourself, like having some scars, right? They don't have to be physical scars. They can be emotional scars too, right? But having those scars helps us learn more about ourselves. Because look, I've had suicidal ideation for most of my life. And we all know that it's easier to check out. It's harder to live. And I was going through divorce. I made a cross-country move to work for Liver King, taking a 60% pay cut. My grandmother passed away that week. And in the same week, I ran over a puppy in front of a 6-year-old girl who owned it. It was terrible. Killed the dog, right? And it was terrible because I was moving in this apartment. I was driving like 15 miles, 10 miles an hour in a parking lot. And my grandmother was blowing up my phone because, she was just, sometimes she was there, sometimes she wasn't. And she was just freaking out. So I tried to answer the phone and I ran over a dog and this girl started screaming. So that moment I was like, I can't deal. I'm nope. So I called my friend Frankie, the Navy SEAL, and I said, Frankie, this is the last message you're getting from me. I can't handle this. And I just hung up. And he called me and then he said, Chris, I've been very open about the things that I've been through with my time in the military. He says, let me just tell you this. If you check out early, you're a fucking coward and we're not cowards. So I'm just going to check you. And that was enough to kind of pull me off the ledge and say, holy shit, that would have been the easier thing to do. Mm-hmm. And so that has always stuck with me because it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when life is going to kick you in the face. But if you can create standards for yourself in terms of how you prioritize yourself, it doesn't matter what happens, you can self-regulate. I am not saying don't feel emotions. I am not saying to just ignore it or say it's not a big deal. Yes, it is a big deal. When a family member dies or a tragedy happens or something, yes, it's important. It's valid. Feel the emotion, observe it. Don't let it take you away with the tide.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of heavy stuff. So I'm going to not unpack any of that. I am just going to say this. So all of this stuff you've gone through, you've built this brand. You go by Beyond the Tats on Instagram. Tell me about your brand, because this right here, you just gave us the why and what you can do for somebody. And I think people watching this can see that. Tell us a little bit more about how you came up with Beyond the Tats and what this stands for, because I'm curious to see what that is.
Oh, the neck sleeve?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be disappointed. It means nothing. It's just my tattoo artist. I was like, I want hexagonal patterns. You have free reign, just tattoo my neck. So
I was
beyond the
thinking for
tats,
like warrior, like
um,
some special things. So it's cool looking.
yeah, because also this one was done by Kevin King out of Bang Bang NYC, which is a really cool tattoo studio. But he did this just to kind of match some of these dark lines here. But so beyond the tats, I created that handle because I think a lot of people judge me based on my appearance. I've been told many times that I am not approachable. I have male version of resting bitch face, which I'm working on. I know.
I feel your energy is the opposite. You're like, to me, you're super approachable and you're funny.
When you talk to me, sure, but like if I'm at a coffee shop, I have a little miniature dachshund. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, all the girls are going to come up to you. No one comes up to me. Even with this dog,
What?
no one approaches me. And I'm like, what do they think I'm going to do to them? Like, it's weird. So beyond the tats was the handle. I just want to say, look, I'm more than the tattoos, right? And I get it. I'm heavily tattooed. This was not the plan. I remember the first time I saw someone with a face tattoo or a neck sleeve, I'm like, damn, that's really aggressive. But the brand itself is really, designed to help people create the same standards that I've set for myself, essentially to pay it forward. And ultimately, people cannot make change without accountability. If you do not hold someone accountable, we're all going to choose the path of least resistance. So my program is really designed and tailored to be a 24/7 on-call concierge service. So short of me, like I jokingly say, if I could follow you around all day and watch you eat, I would, but that would be creepy. You don't want me hanging out in the bush just watching you eat lunch, right? Like that would be creepy. And I want to do a reel where I have two friends that are eating lunch and it's like, hey, that guy's staring at you.
Wait.
Like, oh yeah, that's my coach. He's just watching me eat.
Hold on. You know I'm making this TV series. That's how I'm gonna rate you in. I'm gonna have you in the bush.
Binoculars.
Yes.
100%.
That is hilarious.
Hey, I'm a birder, so I have some really baller binoculars I can bring.
That's it. That is now your function in this fucking TV show.
Yeah. I will totally just hang out like a creeper in bushes, and outside the window. So essentially it's just giving people 24/7 support so they can reach out to me anytime, because look, anyone can do something when life is great. But when shit hits the fan, that's when everyone ghosts everyone, right? So what I try to instill in my clients is that is the moment you need to lean in. And people struggle with asking for help, leaning on others. And I've learned this from personal experience. Asking for help is not a weakness. It's in fact a superpower that's within all of us. We just need to learn how to nurture and develop that superpower. So helping people understand that every day we have choices. Those choices I consider challenges. Challenges are meant to be overcome. Alex Hormozi says this famously, now we have empirical evidence. He equates those to slaying dragons, right? Now we have empirical evidence. We have proof that you can slay dragons. And guess what? There are many more dragons in the future. So building up someone's proof, social proof. Hey, look, you've done this. We can prove that you can do challenging things. So when something else comes up, just know and have the confidence that you can do this. So building someone's tolerance for challenging, proof that they can do it. Over time, they gain confidence that, hey, I actually have more agency in my life than I thought. And that's really the premise of this program, is to get people to a point where, I jokingly say this to everyone that I work with. I say, think of this analogy. Picture yourself walking on a path and I'm following you in a non-creepy way with my hands on each side. You're going to veer left. You're going to veer right. My job is just to nudge you back to center line to a point where over time, you don't need me walking with you. So essentially, my goal is to get everyone to a point where they can say, you're fired. That is the goal, because ultimately most programs are set up to lock you in for life. They gatekeep, they control your success, and more importantly, they give you no tools to sustain it. That's essentially why genetic and Weight Watchers still exist, and why the diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So my goal is, I always say to my clients also, let's be honest, to work with someone forever would be a hellish experience for both parties. The goal is to work with someone for a season of their life, but then to give them the tools so they can fly on their own. And that's essentially, my brand is geared mostly towards women between the ages 35 and 60. It's a little odd in the beginning why I was attracting a lot of female clients, but then when my team did a little deep dive on my page on TikTok and Instagram, they're like, oh, you give girl best friend vibes. Like you're disarming, you wear wigs, you make fun of yourself. Like you're not like this kind of meathead. And so I said, hey, I'll lean into it. So I primarily have worked with women for a very long time. But I also find that men are easier. Let's be honest. Men are a little easier to work with. I think with women, there's lots of nuance there with hormones, perimenopause, menopause, PCOS, endometriosis, thyroid issues, like all sorts of stuff. But I find that is more rewarding because it's more challenging, right? Because, I think mothers, mostly who I work with, they struggle with prioritizing themselves. They experience mom guilt. And then you're pouring from an empty cup. And I always use airplane safety videos as an example. God forbid those oxygen masks fall down, whose mask you put on first. So helping mothers learn that the most selfless thing you can do as a mother is to be selfish is really the name of the game, is to create boundaries, prioritize yourself so you can show up as a better version of you for the people that actually do lean on you and rely on you. And so that's kind of the brand.
Awesome. And we are almost out of time. So where can people find you? They want to learn more about you, your services, reach out. How do they get
you can go to beyondthetats.com. You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok at beyondthetats. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. We'll put all that in the show notes too, so you guys can find Chris. Well, thank you for coming on. And you have been listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes.
Thank you for listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes and Master Coach Jenny Fontana. Head over to www.thelifecoachmethod.com to learn more about coaching yourself and how to become a master coach.